YouTube and welcome to another GV anime review, which will be the final anime review of this year. I have some other things planned for the final weeks of the year. So the final anime that I'm going to review in 2016 is Chuunibyou Demokoika Shitai, or Love, Chuunibyou and Delusions. Another one of KyoAni's classics and food for lots of memes and vines, I have noticed. So I was really curious what this anime was about, and I can tell you, I was not disappointed. Every child goes through a period in their life known as Chuunibyou or 8th grader syndrome. It's the period where you live in a fantasy world and believe that you have mythical powers. Now, our main character, called Yuta Togashi, suffered from a severe case of Chuunibyou, but now that he's entering high school, he wants to leave that old life behind and live a peaceful, boring life. Unfortunately for Togashi, he meets Rika Takanashi, a girl with an even more severe case of Chuunibyou. She actually believes that she's a dark god, and the question is if Togashi will make it through all her weird quirks. Before I start this review, I must warn you that there will be a small spoiler about the ending in this review. But as always, I will tell you in advance when the spoiler is coming up, and I will provide you with a link to skip the spoiler part if you want to. My first positive point should be a giveaway, since it's my first positive point in every review of a KyoAni anime, and that is the animation. Both the normal animation and the animation of the imaginary world in this anime were the quality that I am used to from KyoAni. Super sharp, colorful, and simply perfection. Now, Chuunibyou is a romance comedy, and it did both right. Let's start with the comedy. There were multiple sources in this anime of hilarious comedy. Rika, for starters. Her Chuunibyou complex and behavior were so funny. I am not surprised that she's used in so many vines on the internet. And on top of that, the feud between Dekomori and Nibutani just added to the hilarity of this anime. Honestly, it is one of the funniest animes of my year. The other part was the romance. When Rika wasn't being weird and therefore added to the comedy, she was cute as fuck. It had been a while since a female character made it into my top 5 of cutest female characters, but Rika definitely belongs there. Not only her appearance is cute, but also her personality was adorable, quirks and all. So with that, of course I found the couple Togashi Rika to be cute as fuck as well. It was so beautiful to see how they slowly started to discover their feelings for each other, and also how it would collide with their current personalities, especially for Rika. And with that I get seamless to my last positive point, which came in the second half of the first season. This is where the anime made a transition from romance comedy to romance drama. This second half of the first season gave us so much development for Rika and her Chuunibyou, and that's what I like the most. Instead of using Rika's Chuunibyou purely as a comical source for this anime, it gave us a very nice and deep cause for her Chuunibyou. The fact that her illness came from a traumatic experience in her youth made it that much more interesting. And a final thing was the message at the end of that arc in season 1. Indeed, everyone has a bit of Chuunibyou in their lives, and that's a good thing. Otherwise, life would be pretty boring, I guess. My first negative point was that I had the feeling that 3 storylines that were introduced in the second season weren't fully resolved at the end of the second season. The new character Satone plays a pretty important role in this season and in the relationship between Rika and Togashi. But I felt that her storyline wasn't fully resolved at the end. There was more to it. There were troubles inside of her that deserved more solving, in my opinion. She was too important of a character to just act as a catalyst between Togashi and Rika. The second story was the feud between Dekomori and Nibutani. In the first season, it was meant as pure comedy, but in the second season, it gets more meaning. However, it didn't reach the conclusion that I was hoping for. And finally, also the possible relationship between Kumin and Makoto was never exploited. Yes, Kumin does reject Makoto, but I felt that that wasn't the end of that. And my second negative point is the small spoiler, so click the link on the screen to skip the next part if you haven't seen Chuunibyou yet. I was a bit disappointed at the end of the anime that there wasn't a kiss between Rika and Togashi. That final scene, I thought that it was finally going to happen, but then plot convenience decided to deny me that pleasure. But when I think about it, it's actually very typical for their relationship. They had some very romantical moments, but most of the times their relationship was more cute and funny than adorable. The relationship developed very slowly, so that there was no kiss at the end was quite typical. So as a conclusion, it seems that the final anime that I review every year is a good one. Last year the final anime that I reviewed was Puella Magi Madoka Magica, and you all know what I thought of that anime. Chuunibyou was funny, romantic and dramatic with lots of development from time to time. It's only so unfortunate that some storylines weren't completely resolved and that climax that I was waiting for didn't come. So the separate parts of comedy, romance and drama were very good, but the overall picture missed some conclusions. And because of that, I'm going to rate Chuunibyou Demo Koika Shitai at 4 out of 5 stars. With fully resolved storylines, this would have been gold. But even without it, this was another amazing anime by one of my favorite studios. My recommendation for Chuunibyou is an anime from last year, being Charlotte. Also here we have high school students with superpowers, only here the superpowers are actually real. Charlotte also has the triple combo comedy, romance and drama like Chuunibyou. And despite the huge criticism that it received, I still found it to be a good anime, despite the pacing problems at the end. And with that I conclude my final anime review of the year of Chuunibyou Demo Koika Shitai. As usual, you can find the full list of all my animes and reviews over at Anime Planet. As usual, I will put a link in the description box down below. Now if you want me to review a particular anime from this list, please put it in the comments. Also, if you have a recommendation for me, put it in the comments as well. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, visit me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and subscribe to this channel for more anime reviews in the future. Then I will say arigatou gozaimasu and I will see you all in the next video.